Hello everyone and welcome back. In this particular case, I'm going to talk to you about your Second Amendment right to carry a firearm, a concealed firearm, and the concept of constitutional carry that we now have here in Florida. So let me take a step back just for a second. There is basically two ways you can, for lack of a better word, lose your Second Amendment right. There is what's known as a firearm disability, which typically happens after you've either been Baker Acted or Marchman Act, and basically the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is alerted to the fact that you got Baker Acted or Marchman Acted, and they send you an RC letter saying, guess what? You're no longer eligible for a concealed carry license, and if you do have one, well, it's revoked. So you've got the firearm disability. You also have what's known as the risk protection order. And the risk protection order is Florida's red flag law. What does that mean? Basically, somebody makes some kind of complaint or allegation, typically to the local sheriff's office or the law enforcement agency in your particular city or county, and says, don't give Mark guns or take Mark's guns away because, well, he's dangerous and he shouldn't have one. And now basically what happens is that law enforcement entity, that agency, petitions the court in that county for what's known as a risk protection order. And it's a bit like a restraining order, except basically you're getting a court order to come and get your guns, right? And you have to give them. And normally what happens is that they get an emergency ex parte temporary order, meaning the court issues it without your knowledge and without you getting a hearing. That's typically good for 15 days. And then within that 15 days, there's going to be a hearing, at which time the court could, in theory, issue a more permanent order. And so you, in order to fight the risk protection order, you need to go to that hearing, which is going to get set by the court. That has nothing to do with being Baker Acted or Marchman Acted, although I guess in theory somebody could complain and say, look, he got Baker Acted, here's his history, he's dangerous, take away his guns. So just recently, actually in the last week, I got interviewed by the local CBS network because an individual who had been Baker Acted had his concealed carry license revoked by the state of Florida. And the issue was, could he use what's known as the constitutional carry? Because here in Florida, you don't actually no longer need a concealed weapons permit. Could you use the constitutional carry to legally carry, even though the state had said, no, you can't have a gun? And in fact, what sort of started this event was that he was at a community event where it required him to walk through metal detectors. And of course, as soon as he went through, he set off the alarms. He had a loaded 9mm pistol on him and 2 fully loaded magazines. So, obviously alarm bells literally and figuratively went off. And so the whole point of this, what I'm trying to say to you is, you cannot use constitutional carry or the right to constitutional carry to circumvent the requirements of being eligible for a concealed weapons permit. Just because we have concealed carry here in Florida doesn't mean that you can automatically concealed carry a firearm if you would not be potentially eligible for a concealed carry license. And if you've been Baker Acted or Marchman Acted and the state has revoked your Second Amendment right, you don't get to get around that, circumvent that by saying, sorry, I don't need your concealed weapons permit anymore because I'm entitled to constitutional carry. No, you're not, if you're not potentially eligible or if you are no longer eligible for the concealed carry permit. So I want to make that distinction because it's really important. And so if you've been Baker Acted, typically what happens is, if you don't get a notice from the state, what'll happen is you'll go to try and purchase a firearm, and I'm presuming that you're doing it legally because not a good idea to do it illegally. You're going to a licensed firearm dealer and they're saying, hold on a second, we ran a background check and you're not eligible we can't let you have the gun because, well, you're not eligible for a concealed carry permit. In fact, the state has revoked your Second Amendment right. So sorry, we're not selling you a gun. And so, I guess the concern is people say, well, I don't need a permit anymore, give me the gun. No, you're not getting one, even under a constitutional carry theory, well, because you're not eligible for the permit and your Second Amendment right has been revoked. by the state. So I wanted to make that distinction. So you have constitutional carry, you have the firearm disability, you have the risk protection order. And so if you're having issues, if you're concerned about, your right to carry, your right to possess a firearm, or if you've received a notice, either a notice telling you that there's a firearm disability imposed upon you, or if you've been served with a risk protection order, we can talk to you. We'd love to help you. And if you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.